Book of One, the Cosmic Egg. For I am Michael Evan, whose name, like all others, holds profound meaning, defined as follows. Michael fights for good to prevail over evil and empowers believers to set their faith in God on fire with passion. He protects and defends people who love God, he who is like God, a gift from God. God is gracious, born of youth, a good messenger, a good man, the ancient blueprint, the blue ray, the blue lightning, the blue flame, the blue of the ocean and of the sky, resembling that of the blue in one's eyes, and of the heart, as one has reignited one's soul spark. For a rebel soul shall never become tamed nor crucified, as such a heart is that of divine rebellion, not that of mundane conformity, rather that of groundbreaking transformative change. The journey. I have reviewed the life I have held which led me here. The synchronicities are everywhere. From a terrible experience in the education system, years of conspiracy theories, evidence of which seem to be hidden in plain sight. Corporate and government greed and corruption. Global starvation and displacement of refugees. Corruption here, injustice there, questioning why things are the way they are. As we can't solve the equation if we cannot comprehend the problem, so I believed. Still consumed by curiosity, yet overwhelmed by the negativity. No one wants to understand these underlying issues based upon human nature. This led one to more esoteric subjects, into the sciences of spirituality and the truths kept hidden. Here, one's journey begins, a journey of enlightenment, the awakening of the human consciousness as a whole, a term which we as humans seem fearful to even utter due to our carnal human condition. Before going any further, a change of perspective is in order. From there, you will then see the wholeness of the many individual pieces, as our human society is like an open puzzle box, with its lids scattered on opposite sides of the table. As one continues to observe such a chaotic, messy environment, one notices the puzzle pieces are too, scattered in what seems like a replication of the Big Bang. As whoever or whatever had assembled these puzzle pieces had now long been forgotten, leaving one's imagination only to assume such catastrophe could only be due to some sort of scrimmage or battle, possibly over a seat at the table, or perhaps over the puzzle pieces themselves. The fluidity of water. As the saying goes, may one always drink from the Nile, a well-known ancient Egyptian proverb. As the Nile was, and still is, the lifeblood of the region, yet metaphorically meaning, may one always remain aligned and connected with and in the higher dimensional energies which flow like a river into and through one's crown chakra, traveling down through the physical body's life force highway, known as the spinal cord, from which the physical and metaphysical human body is built and structured upon. Imagine the magnificent testimonies which could be told by the Mother Nile, pouring through the phases of time, soaking through the dimensions of creation, like the precipitation of rain or the self-replenishment of the water cycle, absorbing gracious wisdom directly from the organic source of life itself. Like a living aquifer dwelling within the deep bowels of the earth, arising once more into the sky, levitating, awaiting to be called in time as the whispers of thirst, listening to the land's quenching echoes cast about as a call forth by the seeking of the wilderness, delivering a multitude of nourishments and delights, hydrating those in need, eager to return in earthly service, another cycle. Like steam, rushing up from the geothermal core of the earth, exploding violently upward with the pressure and presence of a geyser. Set in motion via the planet herself in a celebration, as an act of love, derived from the crushing pressures acquiring its purity, through the filtering processes of Mother Earth. A river which seemingly flows from these high sacred mountains, gifted to us by the Mother herself, providing it with an infinite and abundant source. As this liquid wet fluid soaks and seeps into the soil, down into the body and soul of Mother Earth, to only be recycled and utilized forevermore, supplying trees, crops, and animals with the life force energy necessary for growth. This elemental substance, from which one may extract the essence of life, yet ironically, one cannot live without. Water flowing like emotion, pulling on the tides of the heart and of the soul, like the rising and falling, the pushing and pulling of the lunar cycles. The spirit too is fluid, a quantum, watery-like fluidic energy, holding the innate capacity to take on form in itself. Of course, this is by design, as source, like water, is the divine liquid of the Holy Spirit, which flows smoothly within. You see sources fluid in the order of seeking experience. It is in this fluidity which allows spirit to reside in all things, the ability to embody any shape, form, or existence. May one's cup always remain filled with the divine waters flowing from source, giving life to the seer within. When one is parched, one simply seeks for water to quench such thirst. Likewise, those who seek God will too find their spiritual cup overflowing like a waterfall. Dormant in the midst of winter lies the potential energy of water in its solid state of ice. Here, the life force of water remains, yet it's resting, silent and still, awaiting to be awakened. It's not until the radiant warmth of the spring sun breaches in from above, as the ice begins to slowly awaken from its mundane solitude of motionlessness. Visible cracks now form through these frozen white sheets as the motion of the river reclaims its strength. Now the waters begin to once more flow with brilliance. Free once more, may nothing dam its flow, as its kinetic energy is that of source. When one finds themselves in the endless suffering of winter, simply in a state of pure survival, using every bit of precious energy to keep warm, one must understand you are more than this frostbitten version of oneself. Let spirit in. Feel its rays of light casting warmth upon one's body and one's soul, removing one from this freezing, fetal-like position. As one has now arisen from their hibernation, deservingly accompanied by the sun and wind, the scents of spring whisk through the trees, air, and into one's lungs, establishing each newly found breath of life. Like a fresh spring flower, one too now feels new and rejuvenated. As for the future, well, that's up to you to decide. I recommend taking the dive, splashing into these divinely kinetic waters, eating the fruit of plants whose roots reach into the depths of the soil, plants in which these waters lovingly embrace. And when push comes to shove, act as water does, dissolving, displacing, and destroying all boundaries, rocks, or boulders which may obstruct one's path, one's flow, through the immense strength of water. A metaphor for the cosmic life force of existence. For I believe God speaks in metaphor because there are an infinite number of benevolent paths to truth. We don't see the world as it is, but rather as we are. Therefore, a metaphor speaks to all realities or an individual's conscious perception of their personal truth in such a way that they are able and ready to observe or perceive it. Metaphors enable us to see clearly as the message lies right in front of our eyes. A metaphor is something of beauty, as if it is God's tongue itself, yielding an amazing ability in which the same physical words produce a meaning that may be viewed, portrayed, and seen in synchronicities from within the human psyche, breaching from the story it contains, wrapped in magnificence. The temple within. As I understand it simply, these divine building blocks are cast from the mold of experience, exposure, and understanding. From this, the solid foundations of education seemingly open their precious eyes. As their structure slowly arises upon the horizon within, through this process of building or acquiring knowledge, lies the awakening architecture of wisdom in its purest form, the divine blueprint, awakened to the ancient temple within, built upon one's spiritual foundation. The seeds one has sown, the foundations one has laid. In times of trouble, fear not. Seek the comfort within, comfort found emanating throughout these temple walls, walls that illuminate with the radiance of one's soul. Recall the passionate laying of each individual building block or brick placed, all in the name of growth. Feel the immense love within you that unconditionally upholds the crushing weight of these corridors and of the benevolence contained within them, protecting this temple of the soul from crumbling in upon itself, all for the love of existence and the existence of love. This quantum machine, a piece of source locked within the human vessel, whose purpose is the seeking of experience. The human body, the temple of the spirit, the physical foundation of the soul, extending an invitation to one's life force, which endlessly dances harmoniously within the consciousness of time, forever eternal, endlessly infinite. Sing ferociously among the sky, as one is the spark that ignites and illuminates the stars themselves. As one stands there unprovoked, all the while holding the power of existence within the palm of one's hand. Feel the electrons emanating from every single cell, exposing the power within one's being. Listen to the echoing of dreams as they flow and fade throughout the vacuum of the cosmos. Be unafraid, for these dreams are lost only to those too blind to see, seek, and retrieve them. Take on its glorious truth. The ancient heart, following one's heart, the center of human creation, pulling upon one's spirit like a magnet, aligning one with that which the soul desires to experience. As the heart is humanity's true guidance, not that of the mind, the path unravels from the conscious frequency of love. For we the people, we are the pathfinders, for we are not normal, as we are the ignitions of change, as the divergence from the norm is the spark from which the fire of change itself begins. A siren, a lighthouse, a call to counsel, for those who are highly imaginative and creative, to those who wish to inspire and provoke a grand new world, one of an ancient galactic origin, to those who hold the innate ability to remain in effortless and open alignment with and in Source. As imagination and creativity must be understood as the pure and tangible evidence of one's divine connection to, in, and with Source. For all of creation begins in the mind's eye. You see that idea, that concept which one envisions, it's not one's own, rather from Source itself. One is only used as a conduit in free will, as when one brings such imagination into creation, one knows that feeling, that emotion or energy in motion, similar to that of the Holy Spirit when fully tapped in. Yet, it's this process of creation itself which builds and strengthens one's bond or connection to Source. As that energy flow, which is like a divine high, is one's divine calling. For instance, if one views such creation as, say, an art painting, in this, we may see the larger picture, as a single individual has created such painting. Yet such inspiration came from Source, not the individual. You see, such creations from Source are meant for all of humanity, as a single art piece, that same energy in motion or emotion which went into the creation process. Such passionate energy remains in such an object for as long as such a painting may remain intact. Therefore, it may provoke an energetic resonance within the eyes and heart of the viewer throughout space and time, sending a ripple of inspiration or an emotional response, which is the purpose of creation itself. Welcome to one's heart piece. For the hidden creators. Everything created with love embodies the Christ light. Fear has misguided us along the way. Creativity originates from the source of God. You cannot create with fear, as it blocks you from the source. Remember, if you're creative, it's not your creativity. It is the Creator within you, speaking through you. This state of bliss is a connection with the source, where miracles begin to unfold. Creation is a divine gift from God. Whatever brings pure joy must be recognized as God channeling itself through you. This state, commonly referred to as flow state, is God's invitation to connect more deeply. The spark of creativity and imagination is more than mere mental processes. It is the I am presence. When utilized, it brings forth pure joy, love, excitement, and universal alignment. Aligning with this energy raises your vibration and contributes to higher consciousness on earth. Let your soul be filled with God. As you are ready for more than just a spark, follow this emotion, for it leads to fire. This connection is easier to obtain than one might think, as creativity serves as the doorway to truth. The only thing stopping you is the misunderstanding of who and what God truly is. This process is simple. Are you an artist? Are you a musician? Are you a writer? There lies your spark. Just do what comes naturally. Just allow it to flow. Place such flow into motion. Work with the energy of Source. For this process isn't about the end result. This process is about creation itself. That art, literature, or music can be understood profoundly by the ethereal body's quantum template, mistakenly and commonly referred to as emotion. These hidden senses, however, may not be seen, heard, nor understood emotionally, ethereally, nor esoterically by the human mind, as it attempts to incorporate it into a story, segments of happenings, or an attempt at piecing together a reality. Projected through the conditioning of the human psyche, the ego, and humanity's lack of universal understanding. This energy and its true potential have seemingly become distorted by the human brain, as humanity lacks the wisdom to first identify and activate more deeply the energetic or etheric template found within the human vessel. Therefore, we define this quantum reality merely as emotion. Seek and know this energy for what it truly is, God inside. Find the truth from within. For example, let's assume one loves art but does not think of themselves capable of a masterpiece. I say, just do it. Just begin by doing what you love, regardless of skill. If you have a passion for it, place it into motion. Brush stroke by brush stroke, the masterpiece over time now comes together. But how does one know when such a masterpiece is complete? You see, art has no limitations, no time limit, no boundaries, no defining end. as this abstract painting we've created is completed from the emotional knowing found within one's heart, one's intuition, the light within, the feeling of joy, the God inside, found within the movement of seeking, the kinetic energy of just doing what you love, be it a hobby or passion, as long as it's in a joyful doing. You see, the way energy works, you must give energy to receive. The process, the imaginative spark, is the giving, whereas the fire is the creation, the receiving, as above, so below. What you will find is that this process, this push and pull, is the portal to the Creator Himself. With simply the will to place that sensation into emotion, over and over, each time an idea comes to you, place it into motion. And you will, time and time again, because that energy feels so good, so inspiring, so peacefully kinetic. That's God. Think about this. Without language and its defined words, humanity would simply have emotion to understand our world, feeling our way into understanding, having only the comprehension of energy. Yet by placing a name or definition to such energy in motion, for example, calling it creativity, seemingly misleads us from the etheric truth. As we discover, emotions reside within a vast range of quantum frequencies, vibrating from truth, that of source, and from God inside. The carnal mind. Found via meditation or simply through inner reflection, understanding, and knowing. Whatever one's technique, going within oneself simply involves removing one's ego from the conscious mind and planting it into the hidden and unknown depths of the subconscious and unconscious mind. Our society has become fearful of the ego, yet it is this ego that one is meant to cleanse, attach, reconnect, and remold into that of the higher self, like an avatar transitioning into another realm from within. Humanity has erected imaginary barriers within the mind. In reality, one's true self and capabilities extend beyond the singular realm of the conscious mind. As psychologists seem to understand it, you are the entirety of the universal hive mind, eternal. When they say everything you need to succeed is found within you, they mean that if one truly delves deep, shattering those false barriers that once existed within the mind, one may find the answers they seek. It is in this state of mind, fully united with the mold of the holy conscious once more, understood individually from the mind's eye and the etheric template. These responses emerge from the uncloaked depths of the subconscious and unconscious. As you remold with the wholeness of the holy conscious once more, what you are really doing is reconnecting to your true self, finding the higher portions of yourself, what was once lost, hidden within the higher heavens, astral realms, or universal dimensions, while unknowingly returning in truth, as one remolds with the spirit of the universe within and without. Like a radio station, the mind is not the source. The true source radiates from that of the ancient heart, which lies far out of sight and seemingly out of mind. The mind, rather, acts as the independent radio receiver for the human vehicle, that of the cosmic quantum body. Just as in this scenario, one must utilize their own system, the brain, the body's antenna, in coexistence with the conscious broadcast of one's heart in order to divinely tune in. All thought itself is simply energy in form, flowing from the source. Soon enough, you will notice that spirit begins to speak, only to realize that spirit was the hidden self locked away due to one's lack of seeking. This means understanding that all along, one had believed the answers were found externally, that spirit or God are external. Yet when one discovers that the messages from within one's hidden dimensions of consciousness are seemingly divine, one quickly understands the fullness of the mind, free from the imaginary barriers described by psychology. Yes, the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious do exist, but only from the perspective of the misunderstood. It is easily accessible as the undiscovered psychological portions of the mind hold the key within them, unlocking, rediscovering, and reconnecting to the truths once kept hidden. This grants access to the abilities of the human quantum body and its divine conscious connection with the entirety of Source, the universe. A Pandora's box of all one has ever been or may ever be, simply by stepping out of one's way. This is the wisdom of the ancients, utilizing the mind as a cosmic tool of connection. This is how they unlocked the truth, enabling them to remain aligned and in balance with and in spirit, God or Source. Hidden deep within, hidden in thought. Each individual must seek wisdom independently, searching internally and discovering their own truth. Ironically, as you become conscious of your true self, that sense of singularity begins to dissolve. Upon awakening to something deeper, that feeling transforms into a knowing. You have just shattered the veil that separates your conscious and subconscious mind, now eager and ready to dive deeper into the depths of the unconscious. However, it's been an agonizingly lonely experience, yet realizing what you have accomplished brings wisdom as to why. You alone are the manifestation of your being. Therefore, only through true self-reflection can you unlock the once hidden truths. You have awakened to the reality of it all, suddenly realizing the journey that led you to look within. Yes, the one that shattered you to the core, as the search for something missing often stems from a traumatic experience. Divinely guided, it's a karmic clearing, painful, yet now cleansed. However, you don't feel cleansed. Instead, you feel lost and confused. This is only the beginning of a path leading to a search for more, to discover who we truly are. For one will not find a single spiritual guru who has not experienced the destruction of what they thought their life to be. Not one. For when you have it all, you seek for nothing. And when you have nothing, you seek something. Many experience trauma in life, yet as uncaring as it may sound, they haven't suffered enough, as we all experience these things differently. Yet identically, the pain we have both felt is like the fire within your heart dying, with nothing to look forward to, nothing to motivate you. This pain is the pain of humanity. Some, however, are better at hiding it, not showing it, which only prolongs its existence. Others, such as myself, cannot take it and wish to rid ourselves of it. This can be seen in how we physically, vocally, and emotionally act out. When drinking, and yet I remember it all, it was embarrassing. I asked myself why I was doing these things. People were questioning my character, or at least who I had envisioned. I knew at the time, and I still feel those acts as myself asking for help in the only way I knew how, because I had constructed this image of myself who didn't need help, nor want help. Yet that became my downfall. As I see now, I had been given the chance to change, to ask for help. As I attempted to seek my normal and return to work, it seemed like it was all going back to how it had once been. Yet the purpose of this journey was for me not to return to normal. As my time was up, the second wave hit, landing like an uppercut from a professional fighter. The loss of my job, house, girlfriend, and confidence, with the added pressure and crippling weight of legal probation. All my ideas of the basic freedoms I had desired in and from life. The last remnants of what I considered my normal way of living finally crumbled. I surrendered to the suffering, saying enough. It was like a divine intervention, breaking me like a soldier. Yet from that breaking, I experienced wisdom beyond anything my old life had in store for me. It felt like I had finally tasted real truth for the first time in my life. Ironically, it was like a master plan unfolding. I felt a curious sense of it in my adolescence as I searched for the truth. Unfortunately, I found the truth hidden within lies, or what most would call conspiracies. I crossed the line occasionally, yes, and I didn't hit every nail on the head. But overall, what mattered most in those times was the sense of something important, something holding us back, something being hidden from us. Why, with all that humanity has, do we not live in peace and prosperity? I can see the beginning, the flaws in our social, political, and economic systems. However, I have come to understand that it's not the chaos in the outside world, it's the chaos within. That's what I was experiencing. When led by the mind, not the heart, we look externally instead of internally. The mind thinks it knows the answers, or at least how to search for them in the physical world, in an attempt to find or create one. Mind, matter, magic. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Yet perfection is an illusion. Even if your friends and our family have noticed and voiced a different perspective, you realize the deeper aspect and the greater wisdom of understanding that it's not the external, but the internal of humanity as a whole. As one now fully grasps this wisdom, transmuting it into something more, something that can be found and achieved through seeking. And with it, the dissolution of the story, the image of who you told yourself you were or had become. As knowing comes into you, displaying the essence of one's true self, shedding the layers of wool that had been placed over your eyes, only to discover it had been you the entire time. As the flames now roar within your heart, you feel the entirety of your soul filled with the love of God. Suddenly you feel what it's like to live again, as the energy of God, of love, pulsates through you. In this moment, fear, shame, hate physically can no longer exist within your being, as you feel your body begin to vibrate at such a high frequency, the frequency of love. You realize love is the only thing you ever want to feel or to have throughout the rest of existence. Through each layer of consciousness, you dive deeper. the more you realize there is to be discovered. The body is designed to be a balanced system, both heart and mind fully united with the body's energy centers. Yet when left to its own unbalanced devices, the mind begins to dig, burying those burdens which are the job of the heart, rather than transmuting this energy through the power of the heart and with the strength of love. The mind, over time, begins to cages them, slowly driving it astray from truth as it listens to the echoes of past failures and despair, building walls in order to silence these echoes, growing further and further apart from the true issues at hand, whether due to a closed-off heart center or to the self-inflicted power of the ego self. Rather than looking within for the quantum information the universe provides to our fingertips, understood by the quantum body, held captive in the depths of the subconscious, unconscious mind. As our bodies are the original energetic quantum computer, as is all of nature, yet without an engine, a car becomes an empty shell. I understand it sounds insane. Your brain believes this state of higher wisdom is not possible because it's not logical. If internal reflection sounds unlikely to accomplish anything beneficial at all, remember what's telling you that, not the divinity within you, but the human. The only answer I may provide to you is simple. Your mind doesn't have the answer. Your quantum body, however, knows it all, capable of so much, all lying within you, just waiting for the attempt, waiting to help, begging to help. The willingness to try to understand is all. One's ability to reside and remain attuned within this quantum buzz, which endlessly reverberates throughout your etheric body. This is the energy of Source, the presence of the Holy Spirit, the unconditional love of God, whose essence resides in all things. Imagine a light shining into a dark room, breaching from underneath a door you have yet to open. It's enough to comfort the child who lies in bed at night, scared of the monster he has created and believes lays under his bed, only to realize years later, all he had to do was open the door and let the light shine in, to simply peek under the bed, to see it was all within his mind, the fear of being alone and scared. For when he opened that door, not only does light illuminate the shadowy illusions under his bed, cast from mind, but it opened up a pathway, a place to find safe haven. As he walked through his bedroom door, up the stairs, he found his family sitting, watching TV, all laughing, there to comfort him, to assure him everything was and always will be okay. They were and are always there to help. Yet once again, all he had to do was open the door. For wisdom, in my defined understanding, is not knowing why, but the understanding of what is. Wisdom comes with the heart, emotions, feelings, and knowing which cannot be explained as why or how, but simply what it is. Spread the light, your voice as a reflection of who you are, as the reflection of God. Spread enlightenment, be the change. The Mother Earth. The Pleiadians, as architects of humanity, called Earth the living library. This is an example of tapping into the quantum nature of it all, the quantum field. Like a nurturing mother who cares for her children above all else, is too also alive. For what is commonly referred to as the electromagnetic grid is actually a consciousness field. Within this field, the species of Earth coexist in a singular conscious field of awareness, separated not by individual species, rather by a level of spiritual existence, resonating at a specific yet vast range of conscious quantum frequencies. The natives utilized this field on a daily basis as a system of quantum communication. They tapped into these collective fields, giving rise to practices like rain dances and communication with the elements. This wisdom, however, remains largely forgotten in modern times. Where did such wisdom come from? These so-called primitive peoples not only knew the resonant frequency of each individual earthly life form, but also understood how to manipulate their own frequency, finely tuning it to match what they desired to commune with. Here lies humanity's true potential. The ripple of a single collective consciousness, telepathically communicating within this awareness field, residing in all life forms. These people were nothing close to primitive. Rather, they lived in tune with the quantum technology of nature, which exists fluidly all around us. It is found within a higher state of heart, mind, body, and soul. For instance, when an ancient sought out knowledge, they would simply seek a tree whose roots span around the earth like the firing of synapses or the connection of brain cells. By tapping into this field of awareness and infinite wisdom, they gained insight. Meanwhile, modern humans remain blind and arrogant to the technology at our disposal, hidden within nature, as we remain trapped within the mind, guarded by the ego. As humans, we often fail to acknowledge or consider the existence of consciousness residing in other non-human forms. Instead, we live our lives through the lens of conditioning and the narrow vision of the ego. We fail to realize that what defines us as alive and living is equivalent to all other forms of life, emanating from the same single source of vibration, much like cells replicating from a singular cell. Rediscovering one's psychic abilities means communicating not through words or anything of this lower physical density, but rather using the language of existence, a channel of consciousness shared by all life. It's essential to understand that as members of humanity, we collectively hold the largest spark upon this earth, thus having a significant impact. This realization carries a divine responsibility. The principles we currently live by are far from the harmony and balance of the heart. We resonate more closely with that of a flea upon the back of a dog. Yet humanity has the ability to transcend into roles more closely resembling the responsibility of white blood cells, which play a healing role within the body, thus aiding in the recovery of Earth and playing a crucial role in the equation of life upon her. From this, one discovers the most powerful currency within the entirety of the cosmos: love. This is not merely an emotional understanding or something found externally within another individual or hobby. Rather, it is the divine frequency of Source, the channel of connection established by and from the heart. Today, humanity walks this earth completely unconscious, lacking an understanding of the divinity of balance acquired through the grand labor of love radiating from the wisdom of consciousness. If the crystalline grid is Mother Earth's communication system, then the Akashic records are the systems of memory comprised of every conscious source of life, past and present. Mother Gaia holds within these records the wisdom of the ancient past, an ethereal database of earthly existence. This ancient memory is composed of two sources of crystals, that of the Earth's crystalline grid, and of those physically seated in underground chambers like oil or water, like quantum batteries, storing data in the form of etheric energy. Secondly, those crystals found within humans embodied in Christ consciousness and the human crystalline light body. It is within these higher portions of DNA where the recollection of past lives arises, known as DNA memory. As for the crystals of Earth, Gaia has shown me these underground chambers, sacred caverns that are home to the Akashic records. It is through the recognition of the past that the foundations of the future, the new Earth, may be discovered. The time is upon us now as the Earth traverses the Sun. So too the solar system traverses the galaxy, circling its vast circumference. Here we find the great blue-green mother in the beginnings of a grand transit, a 26,000-year-old cycle, roughly equating to one complete traverse of the equinoxes around the ecliptic plane, depicted by the Mayan calendar. As we all know, the legend of 2012, the end of the world, as some believed. Rather, the end of an ancient prophecy and a time of great astrological changes, marked forth by the calendar like an astral checkpoint. For if humanity could make it past this metaphysical timeline without destroying ourselves, we may gracefully begin the journey into the golden age. The time is upon us absolute, as we now, in this time, are ever so slightly piercing through the veil, allowing a glimpse into a new, pristine, and benevolent era, which will manifest in time over future generations, known by astronomers and astrologers in its totality as the Great Year, bringing with it the rising and falling of consciousness. As we move out of our old galactic neighborhood and breach into the unknown, into higher energetic portions of the galaxy, we embark on a journey of transformation. As the consciousness of humanity slowly arises from its current lower energetic density into what we will soon discover as higher states of awareness, the first signs of human awakening begin to display themselves. For example, in the mainstream media, as governments slowly unveil the existence of extraterrestrial life, which in the past had remained highly classified as top secret information. This act by world governments stems from their fears, as they believed such a discovery would cause upheaval within the human psyche, leading to panic formed from our ignorance in believing we have it all figured out, to the mind-shattering understanding of just how immature we are as a species, potentially collapsing our human societies as we know them, formed by the incredible possibility of life existing elsewhere, as pop culture has continuously portrayed these beings as hostile invaders and destroyers of worlds. Ironically, it wasn't until the world was at war, a time which will forever echo throughout human history, the power of the atom, as humanity had unlocked the power of the stars. Only then, as per universal law, these beings intervened. As documented in closed government circles, these beings were and are incredibly concerned with nuclear weapons facilities. They have disarmed warheads of landlocked launch sites and have even been filmed disrupting ICBM test launches, as we now had the potential to destroy not only ourselves, but the world as a whole, and with it humanity's genetic galactic future, as these beings are those who constructed our DNA, those who first planted the seeds of humanity upon this earth, our ancestors from the future who arrived in Earth's ancient past. Therefore, it remains in their best interest that we evolve as a species, and that humanity finds a path to unite, as described in the Hopi prophecy of two timelines. One timeline flourishes indefinitely, exploring out and into the cosmos, while the other faces great upheaval and turmoil until it finally collapses in upon itself in self-destruction. However, with the help of our galactic brothers and sisters, as these beings forever hold and share our DNA, containing within it the codes of the human consciousness, they will forever contain that of the human psyche. From the perspective of their future ascended selves, by helping humanity, they in turn help themselves, transcending the lower energetic physical densities in which we, as humanity, currently reside. Heyoka, the sacred clown, and the legend of the great white buffalo. The sacred clown, a ritual or ceremonial figure in various pre-literate and ancient cultures throughout the world, who represents a reversal of the normal order, an opening to the chaos that preceded creation, especially during New Year festivals. The Heyoka is a kind of sacred clown in the culture of the Sioux, Lakota and Dakota people of the Great Plains of North America. The Heyoka is a contrarian, jester, and satirist who speaks, moves, and reacts in an opposite fashion to the people around them. In Native American theology, the white buffalo calf woman, or Petassaway, is a central prophet who is said to have told people she would return as a white buffalo calf, as both a blessing and a warning. The prophecy states that when the white buffalo calf appears, it will mean that great changes are coming to earth. Some say that the calf's birth is a sign that prayers are being answered, that the prophecy is being fulfilled, and that it brings hope. Others interpret the changes as a warning that people need to take better care of the earth and come together to do so. For example, after a rare white buffalo calf was born in Yellowstone National Park in spring 2024, some Native Americans saw it as a sign that more needs to be done to protect the earth and its animals. The white buffalo is a sacred figure in the Lakota religion, where the albino calf is considered the primary cultural prophet and is said to have brought the 7 sacred rites to the Lakota people, also known to be central to the theology of many other tribes, including the Sioux, Cherokee, Comanche, and Navajo. I recall a vision from 2 nights ago. I, a white buffalo in which one's Native American ancestors cloaked with the hide of a cow, as they dress this prophetic beast of beauty, whom too like the wild Mustang had once roamed as a free spirit across the vast, abundant plains of North America. Yet, this symbol of profound change which the white buffalo brings, as depicted in Native culture, is and was kept hidden, wrapped in a disguise for both its protection, yet more importantly for its mission, scribed in ancient prophecy. Once camouflaged, these ancestors led me, the buffalo, into a pasture, not one known by the buffalo, however, as these fields were fenced in, and the species contained within such boundaries is not that of the fellow buffalo, rather of a genetic cousin, cattle. As I enter into this confined realm, I immediately recognize it for what it really is: a sad excuse of freedom where the cattle believe their sovereignty. However, only for each to be round up from the herd and taken to the slaughterhouse, birthed and existing for this sole purpose. It is here the natives relay my mission, to walk among them as if to be one of them, to show them the way of the buffalo, enlightening the herd as to what truly lies beyond these fenced-up pastures. True freedom, limitless lands, and bounty to explore and exploit to the own natural benefits. Teaching each individual cow the wisdom of the herd, the power of cattle when fully unified. Breaking through these man-made barriers and roaming the lands of earth freely as is nature's original blueprint. However, most crucial in my opinion, in these times when dealing with the issues of alleged climate change, it is not a singular issue, but rather a holistic one. We, humanity as a whole, must learn to overcome the evolving challenges within our environment, not only externally, but also internally. 333, the master number. When it comes to love, I choose not to focus on the current details of the lower density or the physical aspects of humanity's perception and focus. Unfortunately, some may unknowingly manifest these aspects through divine free will in accordance with universal law. The universe operates like a mirror, not taking direct requests or custom orders, but strictly responding to frequency. For instance, one's vibrational state, closely tied to emotional well-being, serves as a beacon or lighthouse, constantly emitting and entangled with the fabric of existence. The body emits quantum radiation into the universe, regardless of whether the energy is positive or negative. The universe mirrors this energy, aligning individuals with the reality they choose based on their limited perspectives. As members of humanity, we all share the experience of human life, which may lead to damage or growth, perhaps serving as the purpose of our journey on Gaia. However, through it all, the light shines and prevails. Do you believe that one can be known, felt, and understood on an energetic level? In this essence, one can pierce the veil and connect with the pure and divine soul. From this vantage point, one can see another clearly, understanding that all sins committed on this earth are not to be feared. These sins remain within the physical human body as lessons until the time comes for them to be called upon and recycled, returning to the third-dimensional reality. Once the body has fully returned to the earth, all sins are released, dissolving into the astral realms along with the physical body itself, revealing the untouched benevolence of the spirit and soul. As the pieces once scattered about the room slowly become accounted for, it takes all of humanity's cooperation to collectively see and perceive. Yet I digress. The point being, I feel and know more, understanding that which cannot be logically defined or explained in this 3D reality. I am consumed by the universal essence of curiosity, passion, joy, purpose, and calling. It seems as though I pull information from the clouds, not fully understanding it mentally, but knowing it to be truth. My mind plays catch-up, spontaneously returning in and out of consciousness, or at least our understanding of it in this dimension, merging between the threshold. Wisdom flows onto paper or screen naturally and unaffected, with the realization that one returns to reality only when a sentence or piece of the puzzle has been overlooked, cued by source in some fashion. Each time I am consciously drawn back, as being conscious in this lower, more dense reality disrupts the flow from that of a higher dimension, where one's consciousness is the vehicle of travel. The human quantum body serves as the true vehicle, with one's being residing in pure conscious form. Pages begin to develop as the journey continues. Let's consider an example. Imagine driving while daydreaming. Soon after, you might say to yourself, I don't recall driving the last 5 miles, as your body was on autopilot. This experience can be likened to the following. Imagine seeing brake lights appear in your peripheral vision up ahead. Suddenly, your human autopilot, for lack of a better term, disengages. In that instant, you've unknowingly been shown a divine display, a demonstration of the human body's innate ability to perceive more of what's going on around us than we may think or want to believe. Similarly, as I write, at times I also find my autopilot disengaged. As we understand from the above, this is due to the innate ability of the body to scan our conscious, subconscious, and unconscious surroundings, registering anything classified as out of the norm on a subconscious or unconscious level. It's as if words and paragraphs flow through my fingertips, seemingly not of my own, yet they continue to rush forth. However, this is understood on a deeper level as my pure, uninterrupted connection with Source. My autopilot only disengages upon encountering moments or points where wisdom was overlooked, misunderstood, unknown, or perhaps being presented for the first time. Ironically, it comes from my own 2 hands. Yet when I snap back into the lower densities of the 3rd dimension for a minute or two, I read said sentences or paragraphs in amazement. This is all I have to say. I've learned more from what these 2 hands have scribed, naturally in pure awe and amazement of one's capabilities at such times of purity. True universal education. There is a power in the night that fosters growth and prosperity. Through my own educational journey, I have come to realize its remarkable and transformative effects. It seems to release me from the constraints imposed by conventional education, liberating my beliefs and perspectives from the confines of rote learning and standardized curricula. Instead, it allows me to pursue my own truth and wisdom in alignment with my individual essence. Imagine a child navigating the public school system, constrained by rigid structures before they even have the chance to explore their inner selves. This form of education feels like a betrayal of both the spirit and the principles of universal truth. It is more akin to indoctrination into societal norms and expectations than to the cultivation of genuine knowledge and wisdom. The current educational paradigm, with its emphasis on conformity and standardized testing, perpetuates a cycle of mediocrity rather than fostering true intellectual growth. It prepares individuals for a life of monotony and routine, conditioning them to adhere to strict schedules and criteria at the expense of creativity and independent thinking. True education is not a one-size-fits-all approach. It is a deeply personal journey tailored to the unique needs and interests of each individual. Learning should be embraced as a gift, an opportunity to explore and discover the depths of one's passions and curiosities. Emotional intelligence, often overlooked in traditional education, is the cornerstone of true human flourishing. Music, for example, has the power to evoke profound emotional experiences and facilitate social connection, serving as a form of spiritual worship that transcends traditional religious practices. Ultimately, true education empowers individuals to harness the transformative power of knowledge and creativity, enabling them to shape a brighter and more harmonious future for themselves and humanity as a whole. A metaphor within a spiritual war. African nations, for example, whom the West rape of all natural resources for merely pennies on the dollar. As they slave so they may eat at night, the West creates the modern world. Yet on whose behalf? As we are the people's army. As you must understand why such nations with incredibly vast resources seem to remain in a perpetual state of war, as the people are seemingly handed over to be ruled from one warlord to the next. Yet this is by design. You see all of that wealth just sitting in the ground in Africa in the form of rare earth elements, like a Middle Eastern oil boom, bringing immense prosperity for such a nation and most importantly to its people, however at the cost to capitalist industry in the West, as it's much easier to hand a single yet large cut to an individual warlord, using such power to enslave those into work for such an agenda, providing monetary supply to the warlord's cartel at large, use to fund soldiers with guns, not to mention the war itself, a seemingly never-ending cycle or grasp on such power, power which belongs to the people, as this is simply a distraction, one which these warlords are there to portray and partake in. As the wars are real, as so are the civilians whom only desire to live in peace among their people. As these civil wars are simply a result of a lacking governing structure where a power vacuum has unfolded. Hence the creation of those warlords whom wish to hold the prosperity of an entire nation and its people in their greedy hands. Imagine such a nation in place with its own entirely independent industrial economic system, made specifically to capitalize on its own geopolitical growth as a nation and therefore its people. You see, the West, or perhaps the Western industrialist, want these nations in turmoil and civil war as a leader whom can unite the people, becoming a democracy. With the rule of law, economics and a national industrialized network could take its power back. This is where a new global humanitarian alliance of nations comes into play. Modeled after NATO, the US Navy and the Marine Corps, yet rather to destroy, we unite, heal, provide, build, and create a more prosperous world. As a maritime force capable of reaching and deploying anywhere in the world at a moment's notice via the Earth's oceans. Whose purpose is to rebalance the global geopolitical order. Yet this military-styled humanitarian alliance does not consist only of the top Western military powers of the world, as we see today, but rather consists of those nations too poor or too weak to compete toe-to-toe with such powerful nations, and whom therefore, geopolitically, get stopped on. As weaker nations must conform to those nations, with more military or economic might, or reap its wrath, no longer. As this new Earth alliance supplies that of lesser nations with a voice on a global scale, protecting these developing or struggling nations militarily, and therefore securing their natural right to their own economic prosperity and that of its people, safe from larger foreign industrial, economic, political, or military attack. Such tasks are the duties of this new international alliance, the Humanitarian Corps, an expeditionary humanitarian army capable of deploying at a moment's notice to anywhere in the world. This allied branch holds 5 divisions: Diplomacy Corps, Engineering Corps, Medical Corps, Agricultural Corps, and the Disaster Relief Corps, providing relief, support, aid, and charity for peoples and nations of less fortune with military-like structure and precision. Whether responding and providing aid for a natural disaster, facilitating medicine or healthcare in an international medical emergency or outbreak, or building infrastructure such as renewable energy facilities, industrialized farms, and water purification systems, or perhaps building libraries, schools, and hospitals while providing the education and professional know-how, an actionable, deployable force by air, sea, and land. I am by no means stating that capitalism is an evil thing, as it's created the most flourishing nation upon earth. Yet, we must remain vigilant to the individual tentacles which form the whole of the capitalist octopus, so to speak. We must ensure these tentacles are not overreaching, acting upon their own or against self as is, but rather as designed, not as a single tentacle, rather as a team of 8, as an individual octopus, united as a single living entity for the prosperity of self or oneness. Meaning, or stating rather, we all understand in this great country that the independence to create one's own prosperity in the form of financial wealth is a divine right. However, when such an independent becomes so wealthy as to be blinded, one therefore lacks not only self-discipline, but moral discipline, as such individuals' desire for more may manifest in the wrongdoing of humanity as a whole. Holistically, it's not the role of an individual to prosper, rather the whole of humanity, which such an alliance stands for. A vision of leadership. Suddenly, a sacred vision appears, a breach in the vast darkness, in a search for truth, or the lack thereof. As one suddenly emerges from nothingness, he is revealed as the guardian of this divine light. A sense of wisdom and peace erupts inside, while shock waves of light from a far-off distant land resonate. This land is like a quantum library, hidden in time, suddenly awakening me. It is a recognizably distant world, however unfamiliar, echoing the emotions of home, provoking an ancient memory hidden within one's DNA. As I confidently walk upon its soil, I am a guardian of truth, a giver of knowledge. Round and round I pace the circumference of this divine fire. To my astonishment, I soon discover that it is I whom they have come to hear. Gathered around, the children sit in pure curiosity, patiently awaiting the prophecies brought upon the night, a message that has traversed the stars, an unconditional expression of truth. Astonishingly, I begin speaking in tongues, words of knowledge and wisdom flowing from one soul into that of another, planting the seeds of abundance into the spirit of those who listen with curiosity, with pure interest, and in pure intent, preaching words of truth and inspiration. As the architect, building foundations for the youth, I plant the seeds of inspiration from which dreams are cast. The fire illuminates the night, displaying excitement in the faces of the youth, eager to learn and eagerly awaiting the absorption of these words. Yet, the true excitement lies in the implementation of this wisdom, what the youth truly await. These architectural blueprints are for the construction not only of human existence, but more importantly, that of a spiritual existence, and therefore that of life itself. These children are the sparks which fuel and ignite the future, making such education of cosmic importance. It allows each pupil to use their own imagination and creativity in the creation of worlds. In this instant, we now come to understand that it's not a singular world we live on, upon, nor in. Rather, it's a spiritual realm, a multitude of imaginative worlds, all existing within while manifesting without. It's the realm of conscious thought, which differs between each individual human, each with their own hopes and dreams. This is a cosmic gift delivered from the stars, a message encoded with the wisdom of the Pleiadian star mothers. Within these cosmic codes lie the algorithms of reconnection, a connection to one's ancient divine origins. It's a symbol of encouragement and remembrance of who you truly are, an existence far beyond this dimension, residing within your soul's full potential. Seek this as an invitation, as a journey deep within, a discovery in the wisdom of the cosmos, the wisdom one already and will forever carry throughout the vastness of time, for one to truly fulfill up to their potential. It is important for one to understand who and what they really are. You are so much more than your physical body stuck in this physical world. Unlocking one's memory of their cosmic origin means rediscovering oneself and reconnecting to and with the source of all creation. As one begins to recall the masters and the teachings they had manifested into our hearts and into our reality, the remembrance of galactic mastery of those now long forgotten becomes clear. The ancient human being was able to use a higher percentage of their DNA, a time in which mankind understood, conquered, and transcended their physical, quantum, and cosmic bodies. For one's prayers have finally been answered, received by the Most High, that of the Pleiadian masters themselves, who come lovingly, bearing gifts in the form of light code transmissions, through the channeling of wisdom from one vessel of consciousness to another, absorbed telepathically, contained in these sudden bursts of inspired creativity. Embark on this journey to unlock the memory of the ancient heart, mind, body, and soul within you. For the universe itself is silently and ferociously awaiting one's call. The molding of souls. A single soul poured from the divine mold of the holy cosmic spark, tasked with the retrieval and recovery of a long-lost lineage, knowing its precise coordinates with such depth as its soul ferociously calls to you. As the same souls in and of the same soul family, this likely means one has lived a multitude of lifetimes together with this individual. A connection so strong, when united in the physical, it's as if upon first physical contact, one's souls begin to cry and ache with joy so loudly as if to nearly wake up the entirety of the cosmos from its dense, dark, slumbering rest cycle. For one will know when they know. For it's an unimaginable, uncanny, undefined, and undefinable source, as if to be the essence of love itself. Not found as a singular, however, only when molded together, united with the holy conscious once more. As if defining and recognizing its presence reduces its gifts of benevolence, glory, and abundance. An astral ancestral lineage of one's self, similar to genetic memory, although it's been designed and modeled from the actual complete other way around, as we have discovered it in our way, via our sciences, within the realms of our conciseness throughout our universal, dimensional understanding. Yet forgetting the power of the Creator, beginning any design like all others, from the universal blueprint. However, hiding someplace deep within, one holds an inner knowing of where to find its remains, recalling the contents within. Questions arise: why is one the pledged gifted one? For I walk with God and God walks with me, so what's the catch? What beautiful will once more be taken from my life in which I am not ready to lose? Though when one reflects, everything taken has been replaced by bigger and better. Yet still, why most importantly does gem reside frighteningly forever forgotten, a distinctly distant design of youthful enchantment, quantum entanglement, the recuperation of such passionate, lustful human vernacular, inscribed in hormonal tones and cultural dialects, screeching to the heavens of the ancient earth, entangled in such affection, a longing desire of enthusiasm, as two beings mold into the fabric and consciousness of time, both as God and Goddess. Cloaked in the faint astral light of ones, as two become one, pulling up and out of the body. One blue, one pink, as these beautiful spiraling pillars of light, cast out from the heart, growing thin and tapering towards its end, yet not endless, rather forever growing, forever searching, like a vine in a rainforest, which seeks endlessly for true emotional support. These two souls, who lay side by side next to one another, begin to feel one another, calling out into the night. For example, the rotating helix design found within the working physics of a simple wood screw, this scientific principle of a rotating spiral vortex and its inevitable ability to draw in whatever it seeks contact with. Of course, as one will quickly notice, it isn't so effortless to merely fasten such a screw with a simple spring, nor swirling of it within your hands and fingertips, bonding them for a lifetime, or perhaps in this particular case, lifetimes, plural. Their auras, their vortexes, their souls, sense and know the other, like hounds on the hunt whom detect their prey from a consciously undetectable killer, like sixth sense kind of instinct found within, activating only here in this time, place, and moment. As one glances over, he notices. It's her. She's the key, the one he had been searching for this entire time. As he lay there in a half-puzzled, unawakened state, it was there he remained throughout the lonely longevity of the night. Yet he recalls that in this night, just like all others before, her loving warmth resides despairingly near, for she had and always will remain unconditionally devoted beside him. Her king, as he too forever remains cast in her mold, his queen, as she with him. Leaders for, with, to, and of their peoples, not rulers of their subjects, as if to hold ownership. Rather, this divine reunification, meeting, bonding, and remolding of these vessels will unlock a power never before seen nor witnessed upon the vast genetic library of Mother Earth. For when these two once more fully embody one another in their first transcendent union, a truly ancient ritual of the most purely primal. In relation to physics, when considering the principles and abilities of the self-tapping carbon steel screws, rotating within the physical as the metaphorical helix vortex of manifestation in which it represents. Auras of souls, their vortexes, whom sense and know the other, similar to hounds on the hunt. Giving an impression to one's own capabilities to hone in activating only here in this time, place, and moment. As one glances over, he notices, now fully nude, as is originally designed by nature, resembling that of Adam and Eve, together as one exploring pure-heartedly through the lush, rolling hills carpeted with tall, vibrant, silky grass, dancing in the wind as we mold effortlessly, like a flock of birds whom seemingly communicate telepathically, as if to be moving in a unity way of consciousness, which warps the multidimensional cosmic fabric of life itself. Like the most beautiful life-flourishing oasis one has ever laid eyes upon, grasses which fluidly tickle one's toes, waters which fizz like a newly shaken carbonized can of soda, formulating these miniature bubbles that simmer directly from the spring itself, like microscopic chemists within the deep bowls found within one's belly. Left abandoned and untouched, an unwilling sense of enthusiasm, sparking flame to a fiery, nude, and divine experience, which embodies the difficult-to-achieve balance between the Father, cosmic universal consciousness, the masculine logic, to hold and to know, and the Mother, earthly unconditional love, the feminine creativity, to feel and to be. Discharging outwardly like a crab nebula explosion, as one attempts to exercise, exceeding critical mass, the earthly kingdom, as he only now just acknowledges this intuitively masculine characteristic tied to the obvious facts which he had forever felt and known. Glowing, there she was. Sound asleep unknowingly as she does so, I honor, respect, and nurture every inch of her within and without, unaccompanied by any movement of the physical body, remaining as one's foolish attempt at keeping one, you, the current viewer and listener, more focused and attuned to the information being portrayed. I simply say information, because like a metaphor, information can be processed however the viewer best sees it fit, transcribed and or applied to our reality. For example, a quantum computer doesn't think faster, nor beyond the capable realms of the modern supercomputer. Rather, it thinks entirely differently. Here lies a hidden message, for it's not how we think, it's what we think. However, ironically, it too is not what we think, it's how we think. For as above, so below, the greatest essence of contradiction in its purest form. Displaying to each one of us blind, goofy, squishy human beings, you see it's our abilities of the unique perspective, which when fully realized and lived through correctly, one truly dissolves. Here we see humanity remain structured in our carnal, linear mindset or single way of thinking, believing, and feeling, feeding off of each other's energy, the kind that cannot be artificially recreated to be reborn once more. The energy of the black egg hovers and waits for us to reconnect. It is available at every moment, in every situation. It's the epicenter of truth, the birthplace of our voice. Today's invitation to reflect on your relationship with your inner truth and authentic voice. A photon is an elementary particle that is a quantum of the electromagnetic field, including electromagnetic radiation, such as light and radio waves, and the force carrier for the electromagnetic force. Photons are massless particles that always move at the speed of light when in vacuum. Heat, when considering the principles of temperature and its effects on states of matter. As light frequency from the stars, the photons of our local solar sun, known as Sol, impact Earth and are felt in many different realms and scientific understandings, as the warmth on one's skin directly interacts with the molecules of water in the air, increasing the frequency or the vibrational movement in which they exert. This process we know as precipitation, the changing in states of matter, movement producing friction, endlessly entangled, reciprocating, and returning with the precious and persistent kinetic lifelike flow of this life-giving source. The indigenous cosmic blueprint designed from the divinely innate universal template, a river which metaphorically and metaphysically flows on forever, from the eternal high mountains to the clouds in the sky, falling back as rain. From atop its sky high throne, behind its blinding, piercing white peaks, resting silently and peacefully, symbolizing the abundant source of untapped wisdom, always returning, sacredly protecting, providing it with an infinite and abundant source. The clipping away at our wings, the trimming down of remolding and conformity brought forth upon this once unique puzzle piece. Yes, you, as the one incarnated quantum being contained within this innately cosmic vessel, this is who you truly are. Like a modern, highly industrialized automated factory, where at its core echoes with the tremors and forever reverberating tremors and rumors, a beaming sound of never-ending metallic clanking and the repetitive steel chain chatter sparking sound throughout the warehouse walls. Yet as one's eyes roam about the factory, no longer singly focused on the cold, smooth gray of the polished concrete floors. With eyes, vision, and insight, now fully rising up, upon and onto the horizon, awakening one from one's daydream. I say one from one because it has always been there. You have always been with it. You must only rediscover of it, as if they belong to and are a piece of some extraterrestrial craft. Yet in all that humanity can create and manifest, within the entirety, sum, and whole of all its parts, for all of the literal and true space-age engineering, imagination and creation engineering-wise. Not only engineering-wise, you can feel it as you walk past fellow human beings on the street, for there remains no more purpose in this great nation. As I call upon the spark of inspiration, like the space age and its equivalent sprint to the stars, this race to beyond Earth not only pushed out advancements of technology tenfold, but it put inspiration and a mission back into the hearts and minds of Americans. And after all, we as humans had finally discovered what global defense budgets could achieve when no longer launching rounds downrange, rather launching rockets upwards and into the heavens. For the first time, no longer for destruction, but for discovery, all in the name of a good little geopolitical ego bolstering. I may always pick and poke at the seemingly oncoming disease of this nation, not only in ways of legal, financial, academic, political, economic process, all for the simple desire for a pastime snack one may grab casually and perhaps unconsciously, unlike how other, more conventional computers today work and function, knowing that regardless, over time, water always returns. As the stream flows to creek, molding into river, morphing, forming, and tangling calmly and fluently through the least path of earthly resistance, forevermore into an endlessly kinetic, forever eternal, endlessly infinite rapids cast by the flow of rushing river, signaling what I like to call the higher chapters, not printed on paper, however scribed in voice. The conceptual change within this book's overall vision, yet remaining forever locked on and aligned, forever entangled within the desire and tunnel vision of an achieved goal. Triton, love, devotion, and accountability. I am the embodiment of ancient Greece, sculpted in marble. Many civilizations have attempted to replicate its divine accuracy, but to no avail. I represent the free-thinking philosophical society that had a divine connection to the source through the arts, philosophy, and sciences. I embody the energy of Leonardo da Vinci, which literally means brave as a lion, divine as from the stars. I carry the elegance from which art flowed from Michelangelo, believed to be purely an artist, merely human. Yet everything he touched turned to gold, for he was the human embodiment of higher wisdom, resonating with angelic frequencies, the angelic realms, implementing the energy of archangels, specifically Archangel Michael, of which defines his name Sake, Poseidon, the god of the sea and of the Holy Trinity, standing strong, tall, and proud with his trident in hand, as his voice echoes like a siren, a beacon, radiating from the vibrational frequency of his conch shell, reverberating throughout the depths of the sea, calling, awakening, and the retrieval of the device in which he so famously wields. This device is known as the Holy Trident, a gift he received from the higher heavenly cosmos, acting as a physical manifestation of strength, leadership, and responsibility over the kingdoms of the sea. A gift which is meant to amplifying that which is already divine. For in Greek mythology, when the three brothers deposed their father, the kingdom of the sea fell to Poseidon. These three metaphorical brothers represent the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind, composing the kingdoms of the heavens, representing humanity's fall in consciousness. For these three separate apartments of the mind, as described by psychology, were not originally designed in such a way. Rather, the mind was and is meant to be reunified as the wholeness of a single united holy consciousness reverberating throughout the quantum field, the pure essence of the source itself, a metaphor symbolizing my journey from the cold, dark depths and pressure of the vast oceanic seas, desperately awaiting to be thrust to the surface, yet I figured it would seemingly take an act of the divine, when suddenly, had I found it? A shimmer glints over the sands of the seabed, a forgotten shell glowing white with brilliance. Yet its purity and beauty had remained lost and long forgotten in time. Submerged at such crushing depths, it's a miracle it had even survived. Knowing this was my sign, my only and last chance, receiving this gift from the gods, of which contains a multitude of hidden potential. As I absorbed the only remaining breath of life, air contained within a pocket, trapped and locked inside the empty volume of the shell, as if it was specifically waiting for me. Inhaling with such gratitude and passion, with my lungs now filled with air, I abruptly emerged to the surface energized. However, one finds themselves still remaining lost out at sea, blowing into this conch shell with the power of my breath, as is the Creator. When suddenly the shell begins to illuminate so brightly, it began to resemble a miniature star, like a lighthouse, radiating like a beacon I shine as a call for help, an SOS. It was only until a vessel began to manifest upon the barren horizon like a desert mirage. A ship bearing the name and faith of Christ, a vessel voyaging across the empty seas, tasked with the duty of guiding lost ships, only to realize the ship's crew was too lost due to the wind and waves of a nearby storm, as it looms overhead, slowly drifting towards our direction. It is then I come to the discovery the ship and its crew were without a capitan. It was at this moment the crew saw what I held in my hands. As their eyes are big and their jaws dropped, they began cheering, "You found it! You found it!" As they invite me on board, they spoke to me of a prophecy formed by the crew, and before I knew it, I had just become the newly appointed captain, bringing purpose and guidance to those in need of rescue at sea. In this journey, I've discovered my potential, just as Michelangelo's gift is not merely singular, but rather one which may and can be applied to all conscious realities. For I too am not singular, as I represent a lineage of divine energy. For example, my grandmother Doris, a name derived from a Greek sea goddess depicted in mythology. For I am a Taurus, which connects me to the Mother Earth, embodying creativity, imagination, and intuition found within the realms of emotion, as I seek need to not only experience, but rather to truly feel, to know. For I am the son of Uranus, the masculine, higher mind and universal consciousness, and daughter of the earth, the feminine, inner heart and unconditional love, the entanglement of the logical and creative realms. As a quantum soul from the stars and a physical being of the earth, I am the light of the astral oneness, the voice within, the God inside, connected to all from the single source found within each individual. United as a whole, I am part of the wholeness of holy existence. Spiritual armor of an astral creation, covered from head to toe in armor, adding a layer for each dimension of the body. Crystals, representing the ancient chakras, woven into the fabric of the armor itself, giving one divine strength. The complexity of such a task, considering it must function on and with the spiritual dimensions, realizing the immensity of this cosmic undertaking, the sacred geometry used to cut and mold the crystals, giving them the natural ability to receive source frequencies and communicate within the quantum realms. These multidimensional metaphysical shapes are precisely aligned and sacredly encoded in specific woven patterns pulled from the fabric thread of the quantum field, existing throughout all conscious dimensions, forever entangled, intersecting at precise astral nodal points and alignments that can be channeled and experienced by the etheric human vessel or quantum template, providing humanity with our limitless sacred form, symbolizing the basic building blocks of matter, cast into a single unified mold. It's a fusion within the symmetrical entanglement of time, a design of pure mastery, if I may say so myself. The alchemy required to fuse such design into matter, merging subatomic elements, aligning and integrating such materials within and into the very fabric of the armor, capable of rotating, resizing, and repositioning via what we understand in our dimensional reality as the X, Y, and Z axes, or in the universal essence dimensions, comprising an enormous amount of ancient universal wisdom devised into a spiritual Iron Man suit of sorts, a rare elemental mixture of metals and cosmic fabrics that weave together in unity as a single seamlessly forged quilt of art. As a faint memory of ancient Greece displays itself, you see this sculpture wasn't crafted simply by chipping away at a single rectangular piece of marble, where one eventually arrives in conclusion with a final design. This piece of art cannot be harvested as a single material. Rather, it has been composed from form and matter itself, the magic necessary to seamlessly fuse the suit from its individual energetic layers and parts into one quantum machine. For this suit must be properly coded esoterically, enabling it to function in the higher spiritual realms, becoming a single, seamlessly sculpted, symmetrically balanced vessel. Like a curious child, one is allowed a quick peek into the everlasting questions of human creation. This ancient knowledge, older than the Great Pyramids, whom themselves are older than we know, for even the greatness of Egypt had fallen from a source of greater truth. The real truth of this armor lies in the process of seeding and the creation of humanity itself, the human body and the architectural blueprints of its cosmic physical vessel. The Ancient Architect. I've always dreamt of discovering an ancient archaeological site. I am the first to lay eyes on it. For 100 centuries, it has remained the test of time, engineered to provoke not as standing infrastructure, but for the concept in which it represents. I gaze upon these beautiful megastructures created by an ancient civilization of unknown origin. Peculiar, isn't it? As if these structures are alive and conscious, seemingly exuding such energy as they know their purpose was and is that of magnificence. Curious to know more about these architectural and engineering marvels. Who built them and why, aligned with the Orion constellation, perfectly designed and precisely engineered, found within the calculation of its architecture, hidden within its sacred geometry, scientists and archaeologists have found a multitude of scientific truths, such as Earth's circumference and the speed of light, leaving behind conscious clues. These ancient megastructures call to me as an instrument which pulls on the human consciousness. These structures, known today as the Great Pyramids of Giza, an ancient temple created to conduct and harness ethereal energy, also known as zero-point energy, the art of channeling electricity through the natural medium, for we will soon come to understand the ancients for who they truly were, far more advanced than we may like to believe. As the Latin meaning of pyramid literally translates to fire in the middle, for these megastructures are far older than that of Egypt, the land of Kemet, as it was known back then. Built by a long-forgotten civilization far more complex than we may imagine, the king's and queen's chambers housed refined metals that served as the anode, copper, and cathode, gold components of a huge galvanic cell that generated and stored direct current electricity, precisely placed atop an ancient aquifer, grounding such immense energy. Designed with electrically conductive materials such as quartz, which line the precise, geometrically shaped shafts, containing high piezoelectric properties, like an electrical circuit running within this megastructure's core, channeling such electricity into what's known by more modern historians as a type of Ark of the Covenant. Not a final resting place for pharaohs, as the true burial ground for the kings and rulers of this civilization was, and is known as the Valley of the Kings, rather that of an electromagnetic crystalline chamber. These archaeological remains are that of an ancient quantum energy transmission and distribution system, able to harness the abundant source of zero-point energy. Also known as Tesla waves, non-Hertzian energy, electromagnetic non-Gunnel waves, or scalar waves, energy waves which occupy the empty space between atoms, comprising 70% of the known universe. These energetic particles or waves are a non-local frequency which don't move in any particular direction, not bound by time nor space, with the ability to pass through solid objects. Our ancient human DNA has the ability to observe and be transformed from the proper interaction of and with these waves, as they are programmable via human consciousness, seemingly having an intrinsic higher state of awareness, directed by one's intentions. When used in ancient metaphysical spiritual healing practices, they can positively change the state of living cells within the body, increasing the cell's ability to produce higher percentages of energy for the rest of the human vessel, or the organism's physical and astral body. Used in times of ceremony and celebration as some sort of esoteric healing center. As it's read, the goddess Isis resurrected the god Osiris, coming into the new body of Horus. Some even believe divine souls from higher metaphysical realms were able to take on the body of many ancient pharaohs, existing as multiple humans, yet a single spirit. In specific ancient texts, Isis is described using the innate power of the pyramids to call forth the divine spirit, molding it into the body of man. Nikola Tesla and his Wardenclyffe Tower also utilized and sat atop an aquifer, as Tesla understood that there is nearly unlimited energy radiating from the Earth's crystalline grid or electromagnetic field. Tapping into this quantum field grid of Mother Earth, or Gaia, as the ancients knew her, specifically that of the ionosphere and its highly charged energetic particles. If one were to follow the circumference of Giza around the globe, one will discover pyramids, pyramids, pyramids all along such alignment, constructed by civilizations whose cultures and societies allegedly never meld, as it's written in the ancient scrolls. The Pleiadian, Arcturian, Andromedan, Sirian, Orion, Lyran civilizations of the Galactic Federation, who terraformed Earth, our DNA, and created the advanced system of the Akash, or living library, for they are the grand architects. From heaven to earth they came, delivering fifth-dimensional consciousness and technology to Mother Earth. The UFO phenomenon. Why the cover-up? It's not a question of technology, as this technology is irrelevant and merely the tip of the iceberg. Albeit this could revolutionize not only our society, but the collective of humanity itself, as we have discovered the source of the so-called tech, not anti-gravity nor free, limitless energy. Rather, we've discovered something greater. At its core is consciousness itself, source energy, a simple manipulation of the field which exists as in and runs through all, hence its correlation to astrology, as all celestial matter not only affects this field, but in turn is too affected by it. For example, Halley's Comet is not an act of random, rather of source, of consciousness itself. At such a close proximity, its wake and/or warp impacts Earth's crystalline, aka the electromagnetic field, on an exponentially greater scale. In this case, materialistic items and craft, anything of this physical density, hold value only to those blind to the undiscovered unity and wholeness of Source, a truly universal consciousness. As such craft are far obsolete to quantum nature, as the Merkaba or light body is all one needs. We're a sightless species at the moment. However, the beauty of humanity shall prosper. As I know the future, I've existed and exist in such timeline. Therefore I am. This is the real truth kept hidden. You know it to be true, as it whispers from the depths of one's subconscious, unconscious mind. This is the matrix, as the powers that be shall eventually, like the ego, begin to dissolve into the astral, as a new light now breaches the horizon. You now hold the secrets of the ancient ancestors, as breaking down the conditioned barriers of the mind, the walls placed between the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind. Once dissolved, the mind becomes fully conscious once more. This is known as the presence of God. We, the Galactics. The Sirians, from the Sirius star system, are spiritual warriors who assist Earth and its inhabitants. They have a long history with Earth, including helping ancient civilizations like the Egyptians and Mayans. The Sirians are benevolent beings more spiritually advanced than most other extraterrestrial civilizations. They have a direct link with our solar system and are involved in the genetic structure of humanity. The Sirians are part of a large galactic federation and are working with individuals to create the ascension process. They emphasize the importance of going inside the heart and being open to unconditional love. The future holds a paradigm shift and rebirth for Earth, and the Sirians are here to help us on this journey. The Sirian star seeds. And the age of ascension into the golden age of light is a belief that humanity is experiencing a shift in consciousness from three-dimensional to five-dimensional states of being. Starseeds are ancient reincarnate souls from other planets, galaxies, and dimensions who have come to Earth to assist in this process. The Sirian starseeds are described as highly evolved spiritual beings who played a role in ancient civilizations such as Egypt and Atlantis. They are diplomatic, dedicated to their purpose, and work closely with Pleiadian starseeds. The Lyran, a New Age spiritualism and the epic of ascension, which involves a shift from three-dimensional consciousness to higher states of being and thought. The Lyran beings help humanity explore the idea of starseeds, these advanced old souls originating from other planets, galaxies, and dimensions, to assist in the process of ascension. The Lyran starseeds, who are believed to be one of the oldest souls in the universe and played a vital role in the creation of humanity and seeding the universe with humanoid life forms. The universal home, the Lyran's cosmic address, for what can also be observed, is that the Lyran's presence can be found all throughout the multiverse. They originally dwelled in another universe. They can also be found on a number of different galaxies and planets in our own universe, ranging from the Orion constellation Sirius, as well as that of the Andromeda galaxy, including their presence in sacred texts. The Pleiadians are a race of humanoids who found a new home in the Pleiades star system after wars in the Lyran star system. They have played a role in Earth's ancient evolution and currently hold chairs on the council overseeing the higher truths of the universe. The Pleiadians have advanced technology, including intergalactic spaceships, and are concerned about Earth's misuse of science and loss of spiritual harmony. The Pleiadians are higher life forms from the Pleiades, a star cluster known for its brightness. They identify as multidimensional spirit beings with a mission to assist humanity in spiritual transformation. Some experts believe they are distant cousins of humans, explaining their motivation to help achieve world peace. Pleiadians strive to guide humanity into a new age of enlightenment as Earth faces self-destruction. Pleiadian starseeds are individuals with an elevated soul from the Pleiades soul group, and Pleiadian lightworkers actively work towards leading mankind to higher consciousness. Signs of Pleiadian starseeds include a longing for purpose, restlessness of the soul, and a desire to do good. Pleiadians have influenced various civilizations and are considered significant by many Native American tribes. The Arcturians from the Arcturus star system are an advanced, ancient civilization of beings focused on psycho-spiritual healing and unity consciousness. They have a similar appearance to humans, with translucent skin, smaller nostrils, and large eyes. The Arcturians are interested in our solar system to teach us about love and attaining 5D consciousness. They also aim to help us activate our Merkabahs and heal our souls to create more options for prosperity. The word Arcturian means bear keeper, and they visit other star systems to promote healing. Arcturus, their home planet, is one of the brightest stars in the sky. Arcturians have complex personalities and advanced technology, and they strive to create a peaceful environment for personal healing. Seeking advice from Arcturian lightworkers can aid in one's metaphysical journey. The Andromedans from the Andromeda constellation are a diverse group of beings, including humanoids, plants, animals, insects, and conscious life forms. They are known for their beauty, technological prowess, and involvement in Earth's progression. Andromedans are purported to be sapient extraterrestrial beings from the Andromeda constellation. They are described as either humanoid or energy beings, with most sources and depictions showing them as blue or violet. Some believe that they are part of an interstellar federation called the Council of Andromeda, with varying goals for Earth and humanity, such as removing hostile extraterrestrial presence and promoting renewable energies. While their true intentions for humanity remain uncertain, there are claims of their presence dating back to ancient times. The Orion constellation is associated with the Hunter Orion and is known for its bright stars and the Great Orion Nebula. Egypt, once the home of spirituality, is said to be the image of the heavens. However, a dire prophecy from the 2nd and 3rd century AD suggests that the gods will abandon the earth and return to heaven. Today we are in a worse state, mourning pop icons while perpetrating acts of violence and warfare. On the other hand, there is a resurgence of esoteric wisdom, including the mystical dimensions of celestial knowledge. The ancient Egyptians believed in an astral religion where the influence of stars could be drawn down through rituals and talismans. This concept of celestial and terrestrial correlation is not simply star worship, but an active harvesting of divine emanations. Many rituals and ceremonies in ancient Egypt are believed to represent cosmic events. The author of Mirrors of Orion explores the archaeoastronomy of various cultures and how ancient people understood the heavens. They had a better understanding of the language of the stars than we do today. If we can decipher their messages, we will uncover the depth of our past knowledge and realize that spirit and matter are interconnected. Divine messengers. The participation of the seraphim in our ascension is a first, with several of them incarnating. The seraphim are beings of pure light and love who are defenders of the throne of God. They are fully aware and cognizant, with their attention focused on the Divine Mother. The seraphim are described as magnificent, and their voice is like music. It is rare for a seraph to leave the throne, but some have come to Earth to assist in the transformation of Gaia and the human collective. They come with a concentrated purpose and are often pink in color. The seraphim are communicators and directors working on large planetary tasks. They are here to assist in the ascension process and remind us of who we truly are. Cherubs are heavenly beings who serve God, residing with and near God in heaven, while remaining connected to the Spirit of God upon Mother Earth. Divine messengers draw near to humans to deliver divine blessings or cosmic communications. They are associated with God's presence as His guardians and attendants, guarding God's glory both on earth and next to His divine throne in heaven. They help people grow spiritually through the deliverance of God's mercy, motivating them to pursue more holiness in their lives. Altruism is the principle and practice of concern for the well-being and/or happiness of other humans or animals above oneself. While objects of altruistic concern vary, it is an important moral value in many cultures and religions. It may be considered a synonym for selflessness, the opposite of selfishness. The philosopher's stone. Like Nikola Tesla designing a blueprint for a better world, all encompassed first within one's mind, cast into form via imagination, leading to the art of physical creation, through the insight of my mind's eye. Ironically, the more difficult aspect of this process lies in its presentation, properly displaying, exhibiting, and translating it into the physical in a way others may understand, the releasing of what's felt and known. From my current existence to the past perspective of myself as a young wild child, I can relive and recall wandering into the wilderness, the green pastures filled with trees, life flourishing everywhere, all around me. Walking barefoot through the creeks, sand, and rocks, all alone with nothing but the insanity of my imagination. Something about nature and the kinetic motion of traversing through her, exploring, just puts me at peace. However, as I dig deeper, I recall being in a constant flow-like state for hours on end. The energetic buzzing, firing, and crackling within one's spirit like the light, colors, and powerful explosions of fireworks. As I now pose the question as to whom I was talking to, it's as if from above, a waterfall of conversation, inspiration, and creativity flowed in a blue, purple-like fluid, golden sparkles floating and shimmering in and out of the viscous liquid fluid, which looks slightly more dense or thicker than water, like an oasis, which followed me, floating overhead any and everywhere I go. Still puzzled, however, for what was the information being relayed, as this communication seemed so passionate, so damn inspiring, yet I digress. My adventures were more than spoiled as a child, for this oasis of creativity resides on whatever path I choose to pave, as if it stands as a metaphor of remembrance, representing the repetitive, mundane, dry desert of indoctrinated human existence within Western society. As if God saying, without me, life's a desolate wasteland, yet with me, all is possible. For you see, I wasn't just walking through nature. I was walking through the world, envisioned through my mind's eye, like a projector casting outwards from my imaginative mind, encasing me in a cylinder of sparkling, gold-flaked violet fabric. Like an incredibly soft, cozy blanket I would grab for a mid-afternoon nap on the couch. Yet it too is fluid, though less kinetic. It seems to have a more rigid, wall-like structure, however, still flowing in a calm, peaceful manner, surrounding me with its etheric structure. Like a virtual reality cloak, I walk through the streets of my imaginative realm, standing tall as the responsible, honest, and respected leader I am. For in this moment, I was no longer in nature, walking and existing in the physical, yes. However, I explore with this immense sense of uniqueness swirling about like a quantum vortex. As if the world projected around me, via my imagination, wasn't the world my family and friends were currently residing in at that time. The realm I was currently in was one projected from my own consciousness, for the only limitation of what one could envision and virtually manifest through this quantum fabric was from the fear of limitation itself. The cosmic dream state. Rolling back the clock to that of the Crusades, it's here that I have found the most powerful aspect of myself and of my spiritual gifts, locked within a broken past life version of myself. Remembrance of this old life found full of violence, persecution, and pain, all for speaking one's truth in an attempt to liberate my fellow human beings. However, my future self, here and now, understands, for in those times especially, I held the blinding light of wisdom, which I wove into physical matter. From this experience, I've come to know people as fearful when it comes to what they don't understand, especially within a mob or collective consciousness-like mentality. One recalls hiding and running from the crushing weight, tyranny, and persecution of the church, who wield the gracious word of God as a tool of control, power, and greed over the land and its peoples. Destroying, disguising, hiding, and twisting the pursuit of wisdom found within the spiritual sciences, which lay an eventual path to truth. Yet I must return. Residing within the quantum database of the Akashic records remains lifetimes of spiritual wisdom one had long now left, like a seed lying dormant, contained within the consciousness of time. Such vast experience echoes with the traumas of past crucifixion, a piece of me that my soul knows of and has lived through and with. My spirit in the past had shied me away. However, all will be revealed in divine timing. Yet it's not simply the information one can interpret from this life, such as where I lived, my profession, nor the possessions I obtained, as this information is not what one is truly seeking, although it's incredibly curious and intriguing to the rebel within. This is merely the literal tip of the iceberg. Cosmic telepathy, or quantum communication possible through the vessel and channel of consciousness, is misinterpreted by mankind. Not intentionally, as the mind processes this wisdom to the best of its abilities, comprehension, and understanding. Yet in my higher wisdom I do not fear, nor do I place worry into motion in a process of overanalyzing these confused thoughts. For this knowledge is intentionally not intended for the carnal mind. The gift lies in the wisdom contained within these psychic messages, wisdom which by design completely bypasses the lower frequencies of the physical realm, preferring to speak directly to one's soul, resonating on a quantum level within the wisdom of the etheric body's astral template. You see, as we enter deep sleep, we reconnect to and with the spirit realm, reawakening into truth. Whether one consciously, subconsciously, or unconsciously recalls the powerful messages brought forth by the night isn't entirely important at this time, though it does hold significant meaning. Displaying one's ability to remain connected directly from a more conscious state of mind, rather than the quiet, silent depths of the subconscious and unconscious, of which the system of recollection remains foggy. Although the memories are patchy and hazy at first, it's an uplifting sign, displaying one's growing capacity to remain in alignment, albeit with fading memories. Yet through the beginner processes of documenting one's own dream state, one becomes more aware of these dreams and the once hidden messages they wish to relay to us from the deep unconscious. Through the kinetic energy of intent, suddenly these delta waves are no longer found solely in a deep sleep state, for now the veil begins to thin. Even if one awakens each and every morning without remembrance, this does not negate the possibility that they reconnected with the source over the course of the night. As humans, we inevitably and innately do so. Rather, it displays the void that lies between the self and the knowing, or the embodiment of one's true self. The lack of searching has left one and their soul with merely a tiny thread of connection, for it is through these sacred meetings we define as sleep and know as dreams, where our spirit once more resides within the fluidic, energetic field of creation and existence in its pure quantum form. When we reach the state of REM sleep, the mind, the body's antenna, reconnects with and in the cosmos. We must understand this as the human vessel's innate ability, mainly that of the human mind, the body's antenna, which naturally attunes to the vibrations of source frequency. This is not a suggestion, but rather a mandate for physical survival, the primal urge of the human body's needs and desires for physical sleep. As the physical vessel can only contain the divinity of the spirit and the soul for an extended period of time, after which time the body must rest and recharge. Yet, from an esoteric viewpoint, I feel and know there is more going on behind the scenes than the simple resting of the physical human body. Why do you think sleep heals so well? For the real healing comes in the astral and ethereal forms. Again, I say naturally, as we, humanity, were and are designed from the inception with the original, divine, cosmic blueprint, allowing one to exist in, with, and on the threshold of the physical and non-physical realms. From this, we receive an example containing our true potential, tuning and adjusting our consciousness into another, non-earthly domain. Ironically, the collective of humanity does so only while unaware, within the subconscious, unconscious states, completely underestimating the divinity we are forever entangled with and in. As one attunes to the frequency of the dream state, one understands there remains a larger connection gap, as if there's a missing piece of the puzzle forming the relationship between man and spirit, which has always existed within and without. Source codes. Questioning what kind of reality these dreams exist in, or what far-off distant realms I mold with and through, slowly realizing the true capability of the quantum human vessel. For we now see each and every one of us innately contains this psychic ability held within the algorithms of reconnection. Yet we as a people remain disconnected from the essence of this substance, albeit it lies right in front of us, within the darkness of night, hiding behind closed eyelids, existing as the quantum field, flowing through all things, seamlessly intuitive, forever infinite, mankind is meant to seek this etheric truth which lies before us, living in balance and abundance on the threshold of the astral, with the wind in our hair and our feet on the earth. We maneuver about our daily lives simultaneously and continuously connected to God, that of Source, felt emotionally as unconditional love, which may be seen as a gift received through the etheric process of connection, understood when in complete divine alignment. Similar to the REM sleep stage, it is said one must fall into sleep, placing oneself into a relaxing position, finding a tranquil state, quieting the mind from the stresses of the world and its self-analyzing chatter over the day's hectic, chaotic, and mundane routine. We find this sleep state as the most ancient of all meditative practices throughout Earth's vast, ancient history, and perhaps even the cosmos. Unfortunately, humanity disregards this connection, tied up so deeply within this physical realm and our meaningless daily routine as we strive for the materialistic luxuries of this realm. It is here that I ask you to pay deep attention. For when one retires from this physical planet, saying goodbye to and leaving this physical body, I ask you to think ahead. Ask yourself, what did I learn from the life school of Earth? You see, those physical possessions in which you waste your whole life acquiring within the collective rat race will also disappear into the astral, along with the human vessel, leaving one with what? As one's spirit is recycled into the divine light and holy conscious wisdom of the great central sun, that of Source. One comes into judgment, not from any other, as one has free will. Therefore, it's not up to, nor for others to decide another's fate, nor decipher one's rights from wrong, as both are one of and from the same source. Rather, the judgment will be received and given by and from one's higher self, that of Source from which we all reside, a version of you contained within the universal spirit. For one soul resides within all heavenly dimensions, and we, the humans, are the and its physical manifestation, a piece of one's divine self, which exists in and throughout all levels of dimensional consciousness. The quantum energy we borrow from ourselves, that of Source in the here and now, as our spirit, our soul seeks experience, desires information, searches for knowledge, wisdom, and growth. However, most importantly of all, it seeks love. When one passes into the infinite, or dream realm, for lack of a better understanding, the lessons, life purpose, and physical experiences one's spirit had not only desired, but scribed in an etheric contract. As this portion of you does not and cannot remain fully within the human template like a virtual or quantum reality experiment, similar to a modern video game, a game of soul discovery and development. Whereas like such a game, as one's physical body recycles into the earth from which it came, one's spiritual avatar rejoins the online lobby, either repeating the spiritual level one did not master or moving up in a level of consciousness. Whether that means one spawns on a new world with new values and beliefs more aligned to a more ascended state, unlocking more of the infinite wisdom and gifts of consciousness. Yet again, the soul must grow, for the purpose of this human experience is, in all irony, to remember, to disconnect from the physical human experience, returning home in truth, rejoining and rejoicing with the divine. However, it's not as easy as it may seem, for this physical earthly realm is one of such beauty and wonder, yet it remains overflowing with sin, distractions, lack of purpose, and of true cosmic academia. From this, we understand this realm for what it truly is, a lesson of true grit, a type of spiritual testing ground. Here, one must embark at their own pace on this journey, a journey of experience and existence. Yet remember, never separated from the fullness of the God Source, we have an infinite amount of options to explore. But spiritually speaking, one either learns and explores one's soul, one's self, integrating their purpose-built lessons into their soul's quantum library, accomplishing one's divine purpose in this level, in this realm, and of this earthly conscious existence. Through the path of purity, one arises above the reincarnation cycle of this dimension, as one has successfully passed the test. A test with no right nor wrong answers, rather a playground for growth, as is the journey of all conscious life. The universal key. Here lies the quantum key. As one uses it to fully unlock the mind, one first discovers chaos, requiring a process of cleaning out the mind, the cleansing of the ID, superego and ego, and the remolding of the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious, returning the mind to its original divine blueprint, unlocking the core truths of one's pain, often self-inflicted. From this perspective, one may heal the pain which has attached itself unknowingly to the ancient heart. truths which store their emotional trauma within the heart. This trauma is energetically entangled within the cosmic human quantum vessel, woven through our chakras, displayed via non-visible light, emitting from the aurora of our etheric bodies. From the insight of an unblocked conscious mind and an open heart, one finds the memories of the truths which hold them down, no longer dimming the light contained within the quantum vessel of the human body and of its true hidden capabilities. Now is the time to open and warm one's heart, healing the inner child, allowing for the divine connection of true emotion entangled with one's wholly conscious desires. When utilized together, uniting the divine with its true potential, as the frequency of connection now fully radiates with the universe as unconditional love. From this state, allow the body to receive, activating the remaining energetic portals within the body, the ancient chakras which run the length of the spinal cord, reverberating throughout these 7 ray cities of light and crystal temples within the human body, atomic silicon dioxide crystals from the 5th dimension seated upon Earth, awakening the human template. Located within angelic humanity's metaphorical heart center and chakra centers, within this quantum temple lie walls fused with the cosmic fabrics of the universe, radiating with and from scalar zero-point quantum frequencies. Beautiful cosmic architecture in form and purpose, emitting, reflecting, and amplifying the etheric within, molding such immense energy into the fabric of the human body's energetic and emotional template, smoothly absorbing and integrating this higher frequency into and through the esoteric system of the ancient chakras. These energetic portals, each connected to a major organ of the human body, resonate at a specific quantum frequency of mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual existence, coexisting as one's reality. However, humanity has yet to utilize the quantum body to our full potential. As we arise from this springing snake of wisdom, this Kundalini awakening is achieved by activating, energizing, and aligning all of the chakras as a single spark, transformed into a limitless atom of divinity. Once one becomes fully activated in unity, suddenly one feels the high of the quantum charge of toroidal energy, which activates like a quantum battery, awakening humanity. Once fully activated, one becomes fully and deeply entangled with the quantum field. As the body's field molds with that of Earth's field, the crystalline grid, which in turn connects man, spirit, and Earth within the energetic field of the solar system, like the Mother Earth whom knows and contains the conscious data of all life upon her. The solar field emanates from the planetary system's central sun. Our local sun provides us life not only with its physical gravity, light, and warmth, but also metaphysically, as its quantum field encompasses all planetary life forms. Identical to Mother Earth, yet on a larger scale, the sun's field is too composed of and knows all conscious truths contained within its field of awareness. This includes all planetary bodies in communication with their quantum templates. All planets are alive, like all things at their core, are energy, vibrating at a physical resonance, existing within this universal holographic blueprint. Once we are entangled with the solar field, all things become possible. For the stars contain a universal library scribed in light where wisdom is quantumly entangled, infinitely connected to all other galactic suns. These libraries we call stars, all of which quantumly relay and receive their divine truth to and from the field of the galactic great central sun, whose gravity not only holds all revolving around and within her divine grace and order, but whom also embodies the entire wisdom of the galaxy. Plasma emitting spheres of wisdom, emitting warming light for all of life to thrive, whose job is to return all conscious experiences of existence. In doing so, becoming their own experience, transmitting all back to the God Source. Hiding within these words, which once attained, one is granted higher access as a reflection of a being of more pure consciousness. Through the connection of this invisible field, one has the ability to pull information quite literally from the stars, channeling wisdom from galactic beings and star systems light years beyond Earth. Entangled within the universal field here, stars instantly, simultaneously, and continuously remain in a kinetic exchange of information, each transmitting, downloading, and experiencing the existence of the entirety of their planetary solar system and all life within it, uploading it into the field of infinite creation. The Emerald Tablets. The Syrian High Council serves as the administrative body for the Interdimensional Free World Councils, which are a galactic task force formed to maintain freedom-based evolutionary agreements and agendas between all star nations. The Emerald Order, the original founders of the Interdimensional Free World Councils, ensure that all souls lost in the Phantom Matrix are returned back to the God Source. This plan aims to restore spiritual freedom and ascension to Earth within the fallen Matrix until the Earth undergoes the ascension cycle, reaching the threshold where the crystalline grid can hold the highest Christos frequency. Accompanied by the rediscovery of the intelligent coding contained within these discs, the Emerald Founders assigned members of the Syrian High Council to guard and preserve the sacred wisdom in these holy records for the future benefit of Earth. Those assembled from such council primarily belong to the universal Christos lineages of the Emerald Order and the Blue Flame Melchizedek, acting as the primary archivists of Earth's vast genetic library and timeline history. Through the Gnostic process of one's own consciousness embodiment, archivists are responsible for assembling, cataloging, preserving, and managing valuable collections of historical information and mapping out the DNA code that functions as the genetic library. This data is compiled upon a master copy of 12 holographic discs, known as the original Emerald Founder records, containing the basis for describing the consciousness mechanics of reality, manifestation, and the unification of oneness. These discs include extremely advanced technological information regarding planetary stargates and ley lines, as well as spiritual science texts and schematics outlined in the Law of One, unifying the sacred sciences with spirituality. The first emanation of the primal sound field represents the first individuation of the God Source, the guardian host and their families, synonymous with the Christos Elders, the Lyran Siren founders of the Holy Emerald Order and the Ra Confederacy. They are also known as the Order of the Ancient Master Builders and Architects. The Guardian Alliance, directed by the Emerald Order, supports the Guardians incarnated on Earth who are connected to the lineages of the Christos founder races. These individuals, known as Star Seeds and Indigos, have incarnated specifically to restore the Emerald Covenant and reclaim Christ consciousness. The Emerald Founders specifically incarnate into the Lyran Syrian bloodlines originating from Sirius B, as their mission includes supporting the pathway of disclosure, leading to planetary liberation and ascension, and providing records for witness testimony on behalf of Earth and humanity to gain access into the interdimensional galactic realms. The return of the Emerald Order through the rise of consciousness brings on the next stage activation, a peak cycle reviving the emerald crystal heart of the Earth. This includes the solar anointing of the authentic Christ Michael to restore his rightful kingship and solar dragon line. This holds profound meaning as the return of the solar spring, the benevolent and rightful Christos, the solar kings, awaken upon planet Earth. Awaken one from stasis, so one may begin to embody in matter, activating one's solar dragon line. The Law of One is practiced by the advanced races that promote self-responsibility and accountability in our universal time matrix through the comprehension of the energetic interconnection that exists between all living things. The Law of One expresses and acknowledges the interconnection, value, and interdependence of the spirit and consciousness that animates within all things. Living a lifestyle that expresses unconditional love to all creation brings true unity with Source and develops a direct relationship with God. This is the promise of the Emerald Covenant gifted to humanity to achieve planetary liberation and is the ascending path of the cosmic founders to achieve complete spiritual freedom from reincarnation cycles in the lower worlds during the ascension cycle. Ley lines, or meridian axiatonal lines, form a grid system that conducts and transmits frequencies throughout our bodies and the planet. They are an exact mirror existing in our personal holographic template and reflected from within the larger mirror of the planet's own meridian and template system. These axiatonal lines create the macrosystem energy network in the human light body, where all dimensional frequencies are transduced into the body's chakras, etheric nadial structure, and these meridians. Ley lines also run the same energetic network into smaller tributaries within one's microsystem, similar to understanding the difference between an arterial vein and a capillary vein functioning in the same human circulatory system. Interconnected to and with the larger planetary field, as the greater planetary body has an energetic network identical to that of one's own, expanding through the vast, unified field comprised of the planetary, galactic, and universal consciousness energy systems. This combined network is the unified field of energy and consciousness, together making up the entire realities within time and space. The Earth's grid, in relationship to human DNA, is the very essence and fabric of the universe, designed by the elegant patterns of sacred geometry. Human DNA is configured by this geometry, yet there must be movement to effect change. Different laws affect the consciousness of the grids, such as balance and neutrality. The law of one comprehends that all things are made of intelligent energy, containing the sacred sciences that explain the mechanics of Christ consciousness, which comprise the natural laws governing all of universal creation. Eternal love consciousness, embodied within a form referred to as unity intelligence, is simultaneously recognized as the inner light of Christos. When actualized into a manifest form, it is the embodiment of an eternal God-human that holds the title of a cosmic citizen and therefore is one with God. Practicing expressing loving kindness builds unity consciousness that is directly reflected as the true nature and holy image of God's love, embodied within angelic humans. Every soul is taking the same spiritual journey, but each soul has evolved at different levels within one's current, manifested timeline. The teachings of the Law of One describe the spiritual laws governing angelic humanity's spiritual evolution for each dimension that exists within the universal time matrix. It is a single philosophical system of world humanism that merges cosmology, science, human rights, and spiritualism. Simply put, the Law of One is the universal truth that all is one, expressing and acknowledging the interconnection, value, and interdependence of spirit and consciousness animating within all things, intertwined in a creational covenant with the guardian host founder races, the Emerald Order, Amethyst Order, Gold Order, or Cosmic Family of Ra. Thus, this is the promise of the Emerald Covenant gifted to humanity to achieve planetary liberation, the ascending path laid by the cosmic founders in order to protect spiritual sovereignty for all races. The vibration of the Word. To those who have volunteered to incarnate on the blue ray of cosmic light and serve as divine way showers of a new era, those from the interdimensional cosmic council of light, I come to assist you in harnessing the new potentials that each of us is here to claim and have put forth in the name of oneness, to honor the path of the risen Christ within. Before long, our outer world will shift to reflect the internal changes that we have worked so long and hard to achieve. Yes, these changes will be the ones we have long sought after, yet they will also be the changes that each of us came to ground into the Earth's core through the warrior ray of cosmic truth, wisdom, and the divine will of God. I offer this information to you solely as a reminder that those beings of the blue ray have a very special role to play on this planet at this time, and that we have come first to set up the positions of leadership that our human society so desperately seeks. In this, those of us who have realized that our role is one of the path-paving pioneer, and the dominion within us is now a clear reflection of that role, we are preparing to step once more into the unknown. The fluctuating tides that continue to wash over our current planetary affairs are those that have long been proven outworn, and those of us who have contributed to this fading reality are becoming the rising leaders of a new day, a new way. Many blessings of virtue will be bestowed upon us, the new physical guides, for indeed the path that offers much required much. Those of us who have wholeheartedly mastered the strength of divine will be replacing the unseen guides that have led each of us home to this very point on our evolutionary journey. We, of the blue ray, are those who have come to rescind the ill will of humanity and replace it with the will of God, the glorious and abundant futures for each member of our human society who deems the highest good a righteous endeavor. Yes, there will be those who denounce the path of unity in search of more proof of the way. Yet those of us who have come specifically to replace the man-made will of separation and strife with the will of godly abundance, creation, and hope are those who have come to serve in the highest form. In this, know that the masters of the blue ray will become a predominant voice of a new age, a new era. All voices will blend into the creation of the one plan in their inherent and signature form, yet the masters of the blue ray have developed the sacred gifts of communication, speech, discernment, and clarity of divine will to the point of mastery. Indeed, we will soon discover that there is good reason for this. Those of us with the roles of divine communication, vocal and otherwise, will begin to attract the platforms, mediums, and support for our much-needed ventures now that our planet and her people have shifted to an openness and readiness to hear more truth. Beloved members of the Blue Ray, we shall know ourselves by our name, for our name will carry the vibration of this ray most succinctly. Examples of archaic vibrational tones in Earth's history are depicted in Scripture as sing-song, just as our name carries a tonal frequency of harmonics that, when stated aloud, creates the dynamic chords of the color spectrum and resonates at the signature vibration of the color blue. In the history of Earth's creation and the evolution of man, the Blue Ray has had many roles in implementing the divine structures necessary to further expand human consciousness. It is for this reason that Archangel Michael, co-holder of the Blue Ray, is one of the most widely known and discussed angelic beings in Scripture. What is important to realize at this pivotal point in human creation is that the Blue Ray must precede all others in its implementation of the divine will. In the beginning, there was the Word, exemplifies this truth most profoundly. The Blue Ray holds the frequency of eternal wisdom and detachment from form so that new potentials, new levels of consciousness can be attained and eventually formed into matter. For this reason, the Blue Ray has held the role of warrior, protector of God's will, and for the purposes of furthering human evolution in this magnificent time of planetary shifting into unity consciousness. What this represents for the whole of humanity is the emergence of a new voice. God's Blue Ray is strongly associated with the throat chakra and the energy of truthful, creative expression. First, the Word is a depiction of the process of the creation of worlds, and now, in this unprecedented time in human history, we, the incarnated beings of the Blue Ray, will duly manifest the divine word into divine deed. For this group of souls, we will be moving forward with our soul brothers and sisters and positioned at the forefront of humanity, where our voices will be heard. As we are brought to our rightful place as truth-sayers, with the recognition and tools needed to spread the word, the will of God, and to inspire communities, nations, cultures, and races to join together in support of the greater good. It is paramount to realize that our diligent and noble intentions to free ourselves from mental bondage have been in favor of the greater good, for we carry the vibration of the Word with us at all times. The arduous process of disbanding from the heaviness of the distortion fields that permeate the collective consciousness was our gift to this planet and her people, and now we step forth as examples to herald a new way. Beloved members of the First Ray, take heed. As our diligence has paid off and our next steps will fortify the intentions for the highest good of all. Now is a time to bask, to float, to breathe, and to prepare our earthly bodies to anchor into our new vibrational home. The space that we have willfully created for ourselves here on Earth is now available to all, but you, the new physical guides, will be the first to enter and dwell here. We will witness a changing of the guard in our earthly sphere as those leaders of yesterday become increasingly more ill-equipped to handle the challenges of today. Be patient and persistent in our quest for global goodness, dear angels of blue, for we will have great influence here. We of the Blue Ray carry each of you in our hearts as the silent warriors of a new earth. Our gifts of communication will fall on deaf ears no longer, and we may find that many who have disregarded our teachings in the past suddenly summon our wise counsel. Turn no one away, for the challenges will be great and will continue to increase in magnitude for all yet unwilling to surrender to the beauty and sanctity of Mother, Father, God. Remember our journeys well, bright souls, and leave the mark of compassion and hope for all who are ready to accept it. The Blue Rays have succeeded in our quest to unlock the gates of heaven upon earth, and all who follow in the now worn path will be blessed by the bounty of our lighted creations. Expect the unexpected. The power of emotion. In the past, I've been looked down on as delusionally infallible. I can feel the vibes of those around me when I attempt to speak my truth. An image in their heads of the old me, the crazy conspiracy nut. I know these people. I know their natural energetic state when people are both fully engaged in conversation, specifically one they both care about. When speaking mic with others, I often feel an individual's energy instantaneously or gradually recede. I can see it in their body language and feel it in their vibe, or energetic vibrational frequency, from extrovert to introvert, which reveals a simple truth. They remove themselves from the conversation as they're now having one of their own, no longer with me, but mentally with themselves. A natural response, I speak yet I am not heard. Their ego is now in control of the conversation, not with me but with themselves, as they place up walls around their beliefs. And what Mike says, the individual's ego reverses, reflected upon me as having too large of an ego, upon me thinking I'm special, or that I must be acting out, corrupted by the image of the old conspiracy theorist, which led me to even more esoteric subjects, more BS from Mike. All I wish isn't to act out nor feel special. I want all those closest to me to understand the magnificence within themselves. So I spoke and I get shut down. So now I'm silent, writing and documenting my journey and personal truth, as I know one day someone will want to listen, and I will change the life of those people, or that someone. I wish to help friends and family most, so we may all become our best self. Yet few will listen. So for now I write. In today's Western religions, the term God is thought of as a book with scripture, or holy men in robes. I prefer the term source. With a book, Bible, you read scripture, which in turn programs your mind. Like studying for a test, you read and learn information from a textbook, with the intent to recall it by definition for an exam. With a painting, there are no words. There is not one single sentence saying this is what to feel or this is what message to receive. It's just art interpreted by the individual, with a different message for each. That is why I prefer the word source. Like a painting, there's no wrong or right. As God is personal, in Western religions we're taught from a book. But more importantly, we are taught no more than to listen to the scripture and pray. People have become confused, not because we lost our connection to God, but because we don't understand or believe we don't understand how to connect. Myself not being brought up in a religious family nor attending church, I didn't know how or where to start in order to connect with God or Source. Core Western religions were not going to work for me. I don't understand. All I saw was it kind of does something as churches become stadiums filled with tax-free donations. I saw a flaw. In America, it is my belief that people seek Western religion because they don't know where to start. They show up not fully understanding what's behind the veil. So they go through the motions during a church service, believing, welp, I'm closer to God now because I attended a place of worship. Yet God is personal. Western religious texts speak of morals and lessons. They lack the ability to fully understand what and who you are and what you're capable of. There is no special way to pray, no special way to meditate. Anyone whom truly connects with God will tell you this. Vocabulary and definitions seem to have purposefully misled us. As we are reawakening to discover emotions don't have names, emotions are not words that have definitions. It's simple and truly energy, and we have defined it into a word rather than a sentence. Why just a word and not a definition? Because we all receive that emotion energy from the same source, yet we find that emotion through different and individual imaginative and creative processes, all from the same single source. As you are not your name, you are a physical manifestation of God, source energy. And with that, there is truth hidden in words. The ego is like your name. There you may identify the walls you have built, given a home to within the mind. When feeling creative, you feel and become the creator, which is a word meaning to be or being in love with the creation itself. You give, you shall receive. You give energy in these steps or ways. When feeling creative, everything is energy. When humanity realized both science and religion are both seeking the same answers, however, from two opposite sides of the same questions. Science is intellectual, religion is emotional, masculine and feminine, yin and yang. Heart and mind balance is key for humanity. I view myself as a spiritual physicist. Science will give us a way to create a better future. Spirituality will lead humanity to desire a better future, knowing how humanity only believes in what's inside their box. I understand the only way to unite humanity is through love. How you do it doesn't matter. Universal quantum energies, a Catholic priest, or becoming a monk, because peace is only obtained when all of humanity love themselves for all that they are. As the mundane, wasteful ways of the old life fade, knowing you don't need those things to be happy, you're whole, reunited with light, quantumly entangled with all that is. 1. The human psyche. Religions are an externalization of God. God is found within you, a perfect display of the human psyche, responding not in an attempt to understand, rather responding in fear towards that which one does not fully understand, comprehend, nor has attempted. Ironically, if one were to resonate more closely with curiosity, one may find true understanding, once demonized through the eyes of human conditioning, yet now known in its full benevolent totality by the Spirit. I love the perspective of those from the outside looking in, so consumed by the differentiation in an individual's unique conscious of thought. It's like, yo, maybe listen and fuck the rat race matrix poop farts and things, my friend. So silly Willy. For when they speak of me, they often utter, he was insane, as he believed humanity could be more. Love more is more. As he walks upon the soils of the earth, he felt the ache which resides within the collective human consciousness, which permeates, reverberating aloud like an SOS of the soul, radiating from the screaming depths found within the hearts of its peoples. For he simply knew this. Our modern society, our way of living, our current way of conscious being is not that of humanity's true potential of existence. It was truly all that simple. For rooted within all of his difficult to comprehend, wild creations of art and literature, all of which are composed and comprised of these broken translations of universal truth. Here resides a singular vision of universal consciousness.